Well, hey, it's that time of year again. Well, technically we do this usually at a slightly later time of year, but I figured why the hell not get it out in time for the holidays. Plus, this is two shows I can knock out in advance and actually have some time to myself in late December. Wouldn't that be new? So here we go with the annual Top 10 Movies of the Year list. Part 1. And if you don't see your favorite movie of the year on here, well, tough titty. So 2016 was a really good year for feature animation. Zootopia was great, hell, all three movies from Disney were great. Sausage Party was better than anyone could have expected, and I mean, Jesus, even the new movie from the fucking Minions people is pretty good. And also, there was something from Ghibli. It was fine, nothing against it, I just know animation nerds would get mad if I didn't mention that it existed. But surprise, surprise, my favorite was once again the new hotness from Laika, who are playing so far above everyone else's level in terms of originality and sheer artistry on display that it almost feels unfair. And this one wasn't even as good as Paranorman. Kubo was exciting, had great characters, looked amazing, had real hot amid all the old-fashioned mythic hero business. Everything these guys do is great, and I can't wait to see them do more of it. At this point, Marvel Studios probably needs their own grading curve. At their best, they're still punching so far above the garbage fire that is the rest of the superhero genre, and doing so on such a reliable basis that it'd actually be a nice change of pace for them to actually make an outright bad movie just to shake things up. I mean, for Christ's sakes, even when they're just kind of jogging in place or throwing together something after a project falls apart or blatantly remaking Iron Man again, the result still tends to be solid and mostly satisfying. But then when they do go above and beyond, you get something like Civil War, and you remember why this became the biggest thing on the planet in the first place. This is about as good as a superhero movie can get. It's complex, it's twisty, it's interesting, and despite having an Avengers-sized cast, it flips the script and tells a story that looks big and sprawling at first, but then folds back in on itself to reveal something smaller and more personal that deliberately takes the inherent emptiness of our need to see the good guys fight each other just because, and turns it into a nasty-as-hell extended gut punch of a third act. Look, it's only going to get easier and easier to overlook just how good the good entries in this ever-expanding mega-franchise are, but if and when this cycle has run its course, we will find ourselves wondering why we didn't appreciate it even more while it was still here. Boyhood was Richard Linklater movie shot over the course of 2 decades where basically nothing really happened, where the point is meant to be no life happened, but it doesn't really come off as anything. Everybody Wants Some is a Richard Linklater movie that looks like it could have been shot over a fucking weekend, where basically nothing happens, but it does kind of make a real point about life happening in the between spaces. So yeah, what was for a long time my number one of the year is a spiritual successor to Dazed and Confused, following a team of college baseball players in Texas trying to squeeze in as much drinking, partying, and sex as they can into the brief weeks in between moving into campus and actual start of classes. There's no real plot outside of that. It's mostly just watching honestly observe amusing people be amusing. It kind of follows the structure of other college hangout movies, just with all the artificial bullshit stripped out. They go to parties with other cliques where they don't fit in, and it's kind of awkward and they don't fit in, but still a party. The two guys have a rivalry, and they resolve it. One guy has a big secret that maybe holds the key to the whole theme of the film, and it gets resolved off screen. But eventually it all strangely adds up and feels life-affirming and extremely human. I mean, I couldn't have less in common with the characters in this movie, and yet they all felt completely real and close to me by the end. Hey, did you know Denzel Washington can also be good in good movies? It's true, and here he proves it by directing himself and a killer ensemble of great performers in a faithful stage-to-screen adaptation of the 6th installment of August Wilson's landmark Pittsburgh cycle, as the proud and deeply flawed head of a working-class 1950s household struggling with his demons and the havoc they wreak on both himself and his family. It's a strong, vibrant, fearsome performance matched only by Viola Davis as an equally imposing matriarch that manages to maintain the lived-in, deliberate feel of a play without sacrificing cinematic gravitas. It's a hell of a turn. A group of punk rock hipsters gets caught in a deadly game of cat and mouse by not taking a bar full of neo-Nazi skinheads as a serious threat to their safety until it's too late. Boy, I wish this didn't feel as topical as it now does. Still, this was a blistering, brilliant, nasty, gory slice of ultraviolence that also stacks up as a genuinely brilliant white-knuckle suspense thriller. And yeah, it also belongs on here because it's another reminder of just how much of a great young actor we lost with the tragic death of star Anton Yelchin earlier this year. The film was ultimately a little too hardcore to really make traction as a mainstream hit, but you should absolutely track it down and check it out now. This is one badass movie. And that's a wrap on part 1. Come back next week and I'll reveal my top 5 of the year. Until then, y'all got some movies to watch, don't you?